Good morning, everyone. I'm Henry Silverman, the chairman of the board of the Javits Convention Center. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone here this morning for a really special announcement. But before we begin, there are just a few special guests that I would like to acknowledge. Councilmember Corey Johnson, Steve McGinnis, the president of the NYC District Council of Carpenters, Greg Floyd, who is the president of the Teamsters Local 237. Mark Scheinberg, the president of the Greater New York Automobile Dealers Association. There's Mark. Howard Zemsky, the president and CEO of Empire State Development. There's Howard. And Christine Nicholas, the chair of the New York State Tourism Council. Good morning, Christine. Since its inception, the Javits Center has served as the Empire State's one of preeminent tourist destinations. It's a major engine for economic growth for the city and the state, one that stimulates that growth, supports thousands of jobs each year, adds hundreds of millions of dollars to our economies, and cements New York's status as a destination for shows from around the world. This center is the most busy convention center in the United States. The truth is this facility plays a vital role in New York tourism economy, and we are proud to be joined today by the state's #1 champion when it comes to promoting tourism, Governor Andrew Cuomo. As governor of New York, my friend Andrew Cuomo has been an unrivaled supporter of the tourism sector, jump-starting the I Love New York initiative to attract new visitors and keep people coming back, and prioritizing the industry's needs through 3 separate tourism summits in Albany. He's invested in the I Love New York buses to get people visiting wineries on Long Island and ski slopes upstate, and even gone as far as Puerto Rico and Cuba to highlight all that New York has to offer. We at Javits and all of us who are citizens and voters in New York very much appreciate the governor's support, and we're thrilled to be joined by him today to learn more about what's in store for 2016. It's large-scale investments like this one that ensure businesses will continue to choose us, the Javits Center. World-class events will continue to take place, and New York will continue to serve as a tourism capital of the country. Now please join in welcoming the governor of the great state of New York, Andrew M. Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Good morning to all of you. Welcome to the Javits Center. First to Henry Silverman, who has led this great institution and has done a remarkable job. Henry's been a friend for a long time, and I became governor of the state, and we were having a chat, and Henry said, you know, I believe in New York, I love New York, I'm a native New Yorker, and anything I can do to help, I'd love to help. But it was one of those lines that's just like a throwaway line, you know, anything I can do to help, count on me. I said, as a matter of fact, there is something you can do to help. You can actually be part of the administration, and we need a lot of positions and a lot of help, and your expertise, because he's a real estate genius, I said, could really be helpful. And he was flustered, Henry, you know, because he didn't really think I was going to take him up on it. But I did, and he became chairman of the Javits Center, and he has done an extraordinary job, and his work in many ways crescendos today with this announcement. Henry Silverman, thank you very much for everything you've done. We have had great relations with our labor union partners in most aspects of the state of New York, but we have an especially good relationship at Javits with the Teamsters, with the hotel motel workers with Peter Ward. And let's give Peter Ward and Greg Floyd a big round of applause and thank them for their partnership. John Pritko is here. He's with us. He is head of the boat show that is now going on. If you wonder why we timed this announcement coincidentally for the same day that the boat show was showing. That is not a coincidence. I want to go to the boat show. So we're going to do this announcement. We're going to go to a boat show. John Pritko, thank you very much for what you do. Mark Scheinberg, who runs the auto show, which is a great feature for this convention center. We thank him. Howard Zemsky, who runs the Empire State Development Corporation that works with the Javits Convention Center. We thank him also. We are about to do what's called the State of the State Address. The State of the State Address is basically a mini version of what the President does as the State of the Union. It is an articulation of the game plan for the state going forward. And this is by surely the most ambitious state of the state that I will have suggested. There's so much in this game plan, this agenda, that frankly we couldn't fit it into one day and one speech. And we're announcing it in components all throughout this week, because it is such a robust agenda. This is going to be mentioned in the State of the State, but again, there's so much here that you can't do it justice in one articulation. This has been a progression for the state. It's my 5th year. When we first started in state government, our first couple of years were just shoring up the foundation of state government, because it was rocky. 5 years ago, I walked into one of the worst situations that the state had ever been in, period. $10 billion deficit, largest deficit in the history of the state of New York. Total gridlock with the legislature between the Assembly and the Senate. We now see gridlock in Washington. They think they discovered gridlock in Washington. They didn't discover gridlock in Washington. We had gridlock first in Albany for many, many years. And we had New York-style gridlock, which is a meaner, nastier gridlock than what they have in Washington. So we had a lot of work to do just to stabilize the institution and just to get the state government running. And we did. We took that $10 billion deficit. It's now a $5 billion surplus, believe it or not. We took that gridlock where the two sides became political on every issue, and we've passed 5 budgets in a row on time, first time in over 40 years that we've actually done that. So we made the government work again. We then worked on a lot of barrier reduction, we call it, to job growth, tax cuts, et cetera. Everyone in the state of New York pays a lower tax rate today than they did 5 years ago. Lowest middle-class tax rate since 1958, lowest corporate tax rate since 1968, lowest manufacturing tax since 1917. So taxes are down all across the market. And then we took a step back this year, and we said, let's remember what made us great in the first place. Because New York is a special place on this planet. New York State is a special place. Why did New York excel the way New York has excelled? Why didn't the other states become what New York is? Why is New York the greatest state in the country? Why is New York one of the special places on the globe? It's because of New Yorkers, right? It's who we are. It's our character. It's our personality. New Yorkers from the get-go, these are a bold, daring, risk-taking people. These are entrepreneurial people. These are people who got in little boats and crossed great oceans to get to America, to get to New York, to give themselves a chance for opportunity. That's who we come from. That's the DNA that's in our bodies. That kind of courage. We lost that somewhere along the way. Or we don't exhibit it the same way that we did at one time. And government was the vehicle for that expression of that boldness. We did things that nobody else thought were possible. We took an island of Manhattan, we built to the sky. We took an entire state, developed it faster and further than anyone else. And one project after the other, bigger and bolder. And we kept raising the bar on ourselves. Longest bridge in history. You can't do it. Yes, we can. You watch us. Verrazano Bridge, George Washington Bridge. We're going to build millions of tunnels underneath, and we're going to put in a subway system. Impossible. We did it. We're going to build the tallest building in the world. Why? Because we want to. Because we're New York. And that's where the tallest building should be, in New York. Because that's who we are. And that's the statement we want to make. State Capitol in Albany, the most expensive public works in the nation when they built it. Took them 30 years. Why? It was New York. And this was the New York Capitol. And they wanted the best one in the country, and they said it because that's who they are. That boldness, that daring, that vision, and just keeping at it. As soon as you finish one project, they're on to the next. More, bolder, stronger, always leading, always leading, always leading. That's where we get built to lead for New York on this state of the state. Project I love the most, that is the metaphor for the boldness. It's not even in downstate New York. It's the Erie Canal in upstate New York. What made New York, New York? So you're in downstate. God bless New York City. People believe everything happened in New York City. And if it didn't happen in New York City, it's not worth knowing about, because if it was worth knowing about, it would have happened in New York City. Erie Canal. New York and Washington, Virginia, are vying for which state and which port is going to be the #1 port in the country. The #1 port in the country was going to be the port that offered access to the West. George Washington and Thomas Jefferson are in Virginia, and they're scheming how to make the Virginia port the access to the West, and how to take the C&O canals and access to the West. Governor in the state of New York called DeWitt Clinton. He says, I know how to make New York the sought-after port on the East Coast. The boats come in New York City Harbor. They get to the Hudson River. They go up the Hudson River. They get to Albany. They make a left. They come out in Buffalo, and they're in the Great Lakes. And once you're in the Great Lakes, you can get to the western part of the country, Ohio River, etc. Somebody raises their hand and says, Governor, one question. When the boats make the left at Albany, how do they get out through Buffalo? Governor Clinton says, no problem. We'll dig a canal, 524 miles. This is 1817. 524 miles we'll dig a canal. 1817, no hydraulics, men, women, animals. He says he can do it. It is such an outrageous idea, they moved to impeach Clinton on the grounds of insanity. On insanity. They're almost successful. He builds the canal, on time, on budget, 7 years. That canal opens up the West. The ships come in New York City, up the Hudson River, makes the entire Hudson Valley, makes the entire upstate New York, Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Albany, all along the Erie Canal. Manufacturing cities. Opened up the entire country. That's New York. That's who we are. That's what made us the first and the best and the boldest. And that's what we have to recapture. And that's what we are starting to recapture in a big way in this state of the state with this agenda. We will have the most aggressive development program in the history of the state of New York. It starts with a transportation system that is unparalleled, new airports, new Kennedy Airport. Delta Airlines is here, which is going to be part of the new Kennedy Airport, and they are doing an extraordinary job. Gail Grimmett, let's give them a round of applause. And by the way, if you want to take a place that is evidence of the lack of our boldness, it's LaGuardia Airport. how did we allow LaGuardia Airport to deteriorate to that condition? Took the Vice President of the United States to wake us up. He had that great line, the Vice President. The Vice President has both the gift and the liability of extreme candor. Vice President said, if you were blindfolded and you landed at LaGuardia, you would think that you landed in a third world country. LaGuardia is not what we are about. It's a disgrace, the current LaGuardia. So we start with air travel. With LaGuardia, we're revisioning Kennedy, and we're going to get that done today because that is a maze of terminals. We're building Republic Airport on Long Island. We're going to bring a customs house to MacArthur Airport on Long Island so international flights can go to MacArthur. We have Stewart Airport in the Hudson Valley, which is a great airport, which is underdeveloped, that can bring goods up north, can reduce some of the traffic that's coming into Kennedy and LaGuardia. We have a series of mass transportation programs, because if this region is going to continue to grow, it's going to be our mass transportation system that makes it possible. The answer is not going to be more people getting in more cars and driving into the city. The answer is going to be people getting out of cars and getting into mass transit that is fast, that is comfortable, that is environmentally friendly, and coming into New York. So we announced a new track on Long Island for the Long Island Railroad to increase the capacity on the Long Island Railroad, more capacity for Metro North, 4 new stations in the Bronx so people from the Bronx have better access into Manhattan. It's one of the reasons that the Bronx has been lagging. And then we announced yesterday a new vision for Penn Station and the Farley Post Office to have a world-class destination there. Penn Station is the analog to LaGuardia. Let's be honest. Penn Station has been wholly unacceptable for a long, long time. So we are launching this entire aggressive development program. Part and parcel of that is a new economic development program to grow jobs, grow jobs, grow jobs. And we're doing that in upstate New York. We're doing it in downstate New York. We have cut taxes for businesses. We now have tax-free zones for new businesses that come to New York. We're working with the tech sector because I think we're going to beat Silicon Valley. I think where the growth in the tech center in New York is going to exceed California in the near future. You just watch. So we have the economic development initiatives going on, and we want to invest in tourism, as Henry said. Tourism is a big economic generator for the state of New York. It starts with the I Love New York campaign. Christine Laragano is here, who's been fantastic in helping us develop more tourism. We get about 50 million tourists to the city of New York right now. We invested $130 million more in the I Love New York campaign over the past 5 years, and revenue has increased $8.5 billion with that $130 million investment to a record $62 billion in tourism. I'll make that investment all day long, and as a matter of fact, I want to. I want to increase the I Love New York advertising budget because it's working. We're getting more tourists. More tourists are more dollars are more jobs. And the Javits Center has been a big economic generator for us all along, and we want to keep it going. Javits Center alone, 17,500 jobs, almost 500,000 hotel room nights generated by Javits, $1.8 billion total economic impact. Javits is the busiest convention center in the country right now. So when you walk around, if people look a little tired, that's why. The busiest convention center in the country. But like anything else, it's a competitive industry. More convention centers are coming online. And if you want to remain competitive, you have to grow and you have to increase to stay ahead of the competition. And that is just what we want to do with this plan. We're going to expand Javits from 2.1 million square feet by building an additional 1.2 million square feet on Javits for a total of 3.3 million square feet of convention center, exhibition space, and related space. It'll be a 1.2 million square foot expansion. It will consist of 344,000 square feet of meeting and exhibition space, 400,000 square feet of operational space, and 479,000 square feet of delivery truck operations. And this is very important because this is one of the issues that Javits has actually created for the West Side. But Javits will have 1 million square feet of total event space when this is done. 5 times more meeting room space, which is essential for these new conventions. It's not just about an exhibition hall. They want breakout rooms and breakout space and meeting rooms, and that's what Javits needed to construct, and they will. And the largest ballroom in the Northeast, believe it or not, for a really, really big wedding or big fundraiser is what I'm thinking about. But the largest ballroom in the Northeast. It will have an impressive statement of solar power, the largest of its kind, and it will have one of the largest green roofs in the United States. And that's not just an expression. They literally have a green roof. It is grass. It is won awards by the Audubon Society for helping birds in the New York City area. It's actually a nesting area for a lot of birds. It will also move 20,000 trucks off the neighborhood streets. And this has been a concern for the surrounding neighborhood, as the councilman can tell you. Those trucks will be moved into an on-site garage that is specially designed to reduce the noise and reduce the pollution with air filtration systems, et cetera, to encourage clean diesel. The expanded Javits will anchor the West Side community in economic development. The trucks will be off the road. We'll create an additional $393 million in economic activity. 4,000 more jobs will be created by Javits. 2,000 part-time jobs will be created by this expansion. 3,100 construction jobs, which makes Mr. McGinnis happy. 200,000 hotel room nights, which makes Peter Ward happy and every hotel operator in the city of New York. It will happen on Javits' own land. We don't have to go out and acquire any property. The approximately cost is $1 billion. It will be financed by Javits and the Empire State Development Corporation. Construction will begin this year. It's an aggressive timetable, but Henry Silverman has promised me that it will start this year or he will move to another state not on the Eastern Seaboard. This will be the convention center for the next generation. Just as our founding fathers and their boldness made the New York that we enjoyed and we celebrated, it's now our obligation to build the New York for the next generation, and that's what this is. It's an important component of our overall development plan, filling the tourism box and increasing tourism. It fits in perfectly, and it fits in with the vision of building New York to lead. I congratulate Mr. Silverman and his team here at Javits and the Empire team. Not only is this a plan and a vision, but it is going to happen. Government has gotten too good at announcing plans that never actually materialize. I am in the opposite business. Announce the plan and then do it. And we will do this, and it will make this state a better state. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is John Pritko. I am the show manager of the New York Boat Show. I don't really know if words can express just how excited we are about this expansion, and I know I'm not alone. All the other event promoters here are thinking the same thing. Because as the governor alluded to, this is a very busy convention center. The Javits Center has been our home since it first opened in 1986. This convention center is key to the success of our show, but also the marine industry in New York State. The New York Boat Show, the nation's first and longest running show, is actually happening right now. This event is critical to boat dealers, marine manufacturers from not only this state, but also around the entire country. These companies rely on this convention center to cultivate sales and market their business. There's nowhere else that we could pull an event of this caliber off and fulfill the needs of our marine industry. We can't wait to see this expansion unfold, allowing a 111-year-old show to continue to be a vital part of the marine industry. We would like to thank our partners at the Javits Center and a fellow boater, Governor Cuomo, for making this a reality. Now I'd like to introduce Peter Ward, President of the Hotel and Motel Trade Council.
I've decided that I'm finally going to tell my wife, no matter what, I'm buying a boat this year, whether she likes it or not. It's a real pleasure to be here today. And Governor, thank you. Thank you for your vision. Thank you for your leadership. I've been around the hotel industry for my entire adult life. And I've worked at the Hotel Workers Union for 36 years. And for a very good portion of that time, we've been working with the Hotel Association to try and get an expanded Javits Center. To try and get a Javits Center that meets the needs of the industry and the city more fully. And we've watched cities like Chicago, cities like Orlando, build massive state-of-the-art convention centers that can attract conventions that we cannot. And every convention that we lose is lost revenue. It means there are less people working at Javits to set those conventions up. And let me just sort of crystallize this for you. In this Javits Center, the people that work here have good jobs. They're paid a decent wage. They have health care. They have retirement benefits. They have a dignified work environment. We're not just creating jobs, we're creating jobs that allow people to live good, solid, middle-class lives in New York City and in New York State. And every opportunity we miss to expand the business and to create more jobs is an opportunity missed to elevate people into the middle class and to give people and families security. What the governor is doing today is nothing short of remarkable. After years and years of everybody saying we can't do it, we're now being told we can do it. And we're going to now increase the Javits Center by a full third. We're remarkably going to add 1 million square feet to this convention center. We're going to eliminate problems in terms of how you marshal in these conventions. We're going to eliminate the problems of traffic being stacked up on the west side. We're going to eliminate logistical issues that will make it easier for conventions to come here and use the place. We're going to make Javits into that state-of-the-art convention center that will enable it to compete with other convention centers for those world-class conventions that do so much to the economic engine of New York. We have 110,000 hotel rooms in this town. We need to fill them up, because every time we fill one up, there are people working. There are bellmen making tips. There are room attendants cleaning rooms. There are cooks cooking food and waiters serving food. There are taxi drivers bringing people back and forth. It's an economic engine with an enormous amount of tax repeaters that occur everywhere along the line. To have this convention center, to make sure that we can continue to fill those 110,000 rooms, is a remarkable achievement. And to think that in just a few short years, we're going to be able to compete with the other great convention cities in the country, again, to me, is nothing short of remarkable. I also would like to point out that, in my opinion, it's quite interesting that the governor's plan to improve the airports, to improve mass transit, to improve the way people come into New York City and state, and to improve how people move around New York City and New York State, it's appropriate that the Javits Center should be tied into that. It's appropriate that tourists come into the city, come to a world-class airport. It's appropriate that they travel on world-class transportation. It's appropriate that they're able to access places like the Javits Center easily. All of the things that the governor is doing don't just help the broader economy of New York. It specifically helps the tourism industry, which is one of the largest tax generators in the state. So, Governor, again, thank you very much for your leadership. Thank you very much for your vision. Thank you for the team here at Javits for everything that you've done to help conceive this plan and to give birth to it. And I'd just like to mention my friend Joe Spinato from the Hotel Association, who's not here, who's worked with me to try and help get the Javits Center expanded for 20 years now. Thank you, Joe, for all the work that you do. And again, Governor, thanks a lot. We're really happy.
So thank you all very much for being here. I'd like to lead another round of applause, a big round of applause, a standing round of applause for our Governor, Andrew Cuomo. This is clearly a great day for the Javits Center, and alongside the governor's other major infrastructure proposals, New York is on track to have its best year yet. Thank you very much, Governor Cuomo. That concludes our program, and we wish you a very good day. Thank you so much for coming.